Hey there, welcome back to Odd Jobs. Today I got my final thoughts of Dispatch, and what I had felt about the game, and if I would recommend it to people. I haven't done the other stream. I plan to do the other endings or other choices, see what happens, say if I pick Coop or Waterboy over their opposites. Just get it out of the way. I think Dispatch is a good game. I had fun playing it. It's not the best game. Is it good? It's definitely good. But I will say there are a lot of things I would change. The start of things I liked first, just to get those out of the way. Because I don't want to be too much of a negative Nancy. Maybe I'll mix it up here and there. Be like, about it as we go through it. Let's go on with the characters. Let's start with Flambe. Flambe was my favorite character throughout the entire game. I just liked how he felt like he had the most depth to him as a character. Like throughout the entire game, you could tell that he's a dickhead through and through, without a doubt. But unlike all the he had a few more quirks than other characters. He was more of a socially awkward character, I'd find. Not just a dickhead for the sake of being a dickhead, but he didn't know how to actually approach people kindly or normally. So he'd be a bit of a dick when talking to people. But if you were read between the lines and figure out the undertones of what he's saying, you can tell he's actually trying. He's trying his best to be nice in a way. Sometimes, other times he's just being a dickhead. He just doesn't know how to express himself in a non-sassy way, which is one of the things I liked about him. I thought he was sassy and charming. And the same thing about with Prism as well. Prism, not as in-depth as Flambe, but I did find when you were playing the game and you go through it all, you could tell that Prism is a lot kinder than she lets on. As I believe throughout the entire game, when there's like negative parts, like Chase's sacrifice, you see Prism actually like looking sad and stuff. Force what you're expecting. You're expecting a celebrity who's off in her own little La La Land place. And no, she's a lot more present than you would initially think. And the same thing with, let's go with Sonar right now. I think the thing I liked about Sonar, and this might be because I picked him over Coop, is that I feel Sonar is actually fairly well written. He's an immature college grad, a very immature. He's a man-child in a way, and you can tell this by just how he acts and stuff. When you treat him kindly, and like for example, when you pick him to not kick out, he says thank you to Robert. He's one of the first characters to warm up to Robert. Another way you tell he's immature is he doesn't really start talking about boobs and stuff. He gets very easily distracted by them, and when he fails an assignment, he says, well, I wasn't trying my best. It was misinput. And I did see a little thing between whether or not you pick Coop or Sonar. And the main difference I saw there was Coop outright, as you saw, destroys the glass and threatens Robert, whereas Sonar, he just swears a bunch. Actually, let's go to Invisigal. I liked Invisigal more than Robert was the character I did not feel positively or negative about. He fit the role and he did very well. Aaron Paul did a very good job voice acting. He was well written and stuff like that. But I think mainly because you're playing him, he's the blank canvas for you to do whatever in a choice game. Whereas Invisigal, I felt was a lot more relatable as a character. Like there were a lot of parts with Invisigal. She's funny and stuff, and she's very sassy towards all the characters. A bit of a dickhead, but she's also relatable. She's got a lot of qualms that maybe like a lot of people can relate to. Not me specifically, but I like the underdog story with Invisigal. That's one of the that's the part I related with, is that everybody. I think most people feel like a bit of an underdog. Like they always feel like they've got the short end of the stick, and that's definitely something that's portrayed with Invisigal. We see a lot of self-worth issues and self-confidence issues with her about her invisibility, which she calls them villain powers. And throughout the story, she uses them more and more like hero powers. And there might have been more for Invisigal if I picked her instead of Blonde Blazer by accident. But overall, before I go do all that stuff with the other choices, which I'll still do a stream for that, don't worry. I'll do a stream where I stream the other choices and stuff. But with Invisigal, I think I like the story with the underdog. It was very like the entire story was very easy to predict and cliche kind of. I liked it. I like hero stories. I've always found those very fun. Everybody likes a hero's journey. I think that's one of the things why I liked Invisigal a lot more than other characters. I will bring up the pacing and stuff of the game. The pacing was very fast. Like, if they hadn't told me that, like, what was it? I don't know how many days passed in Dispatch, but the pacing makes it feel like maybe like 1 week passes. That's what the pacing feels like. Of course, with context clues, you can tell it is a lot more time that passes throughout the game. I'm just never sure of it because, like, for example, like Z-Team's acceptance of Robert happened very suddenly and very quickly. At one moment, Punch Up is playing Korn on your computer at work, with volume turn to max, and the next time a big thing happens, you're all being buddy at a bar. And I'm sitting like, we'll like to see some more interactions between the characters than that. It felt very sudden, very quick. This is what I also think about the whole like Chase and Z team thing. For Chase, Chase just really just swore the Z team, and the Z team ends up liking him. But it's really hard to tell. It's just one of those things where I feel like a lot of fluffer downtime, like something like some sort of filler to get to see the characters interacting with each other. We've done a lot better, and that's another complaint I have with the story overall. Decisions came way too quickly and way too suddenly. Like kicking out Cooper Sonar, we don't really get a good chance to see who's actually competent between the two of them. Like we're told, oh, you should kick out one of the characters, and my next major choice is Cooper Sonar. And I'm sitting like, I haven't spent any time with the characters to really be able to tell you which one's more competent. Like, yeah, I wish there was more there to actually be like an actual section where you're going through their reports to figure out, okay, what has Sonar done over time? What has Coop done over time? How are their current jobs this time? And do like something like that. But like there was none of that. It was just a very sudden choose. And I was like, okay. And it's a very similar thing with Waterboy and Phenomenon Man. Phenomenon Man and Waterboy, it was like all of a sudden we're in the lunchroom and Blonde Blazer tells us pick one of them. And I'm like, I don't know either of their capabilities. I picked Phenomenon because I was like, okay, well I know he can fly, he's got super strength and all that sort of stuff. Like the downside of that was that he has that depression mechanic where if you fail a quest, he returns early and he's out for 45 seconds. And whereas Waterboy's is like, well, I'm guessing from what I have in the game, is that Waterboy would be just level 1, so you level him up like that. And that's the main problem. It's like I didn't have any time to really care about these characters. So for example, like with Malevola, Golem, Punch Up, I think it's all the characters. I think I've mentioned all the characters these ones. Even Prism. I would have liked a lot more time with them. Actually, get to learn about them. Like most of the cast we had felt very unimportant. Like there's the guy with the beard and turban at our workplace. He shows him a couple of cutscenes. He does a thumbs up, awkward in the background. I'm like, don't know who you are. Never talked to you. Like, who are you? Kind of guy. Which I would like said, downtime and filler would have made that feel a lot more like, oh, okay, haha. Like that's the thing. There's a lot of characters in the story. I would have liked to like even Royd, Flambe, and Visigal get the most work done on them. Like I liked Royd. Royd was a very fun character. He's a fun character, friendly character that's very hard to not like, and that's how he's written. That's more of like a artificially liked character because they don't give him any negative qualities that we really look down on him for. I liked Malevola. Malevola's a cool nerd kind of character. She's like that jacked athlete who likes the nerdy stuff, and that's her character. Very bland and stuff. I think all she really does to interact with Robert that I remember, grope his balls, and that's really all I remember where she does. And then Punch Up was more of a comic relief character. He's a character that punches people in the nuts, which honestly was funny. Golem is another problem. Like, what I really got from him is that he was socially awkward. He doesn't seem to know how to express himself, and he's probably like a misunderstood gentle giant kind of character. But that's only because I'm only saying that because I don't really understand what they're going for there. Whereas Malevola and Punch Up, they were just characters to fill a gimmick. Blonde Blazer is more like a tutorial type character. She doesn't really do too much memorable. Like, you have a dinner date with her, you have a choice to go out with her, which I accidentally took because I was trying to be kind, but saying, just be yourself, and I didn't realize that I went, oh shit, that means date. I was trying to be kind. I wouldn't even say Blonde Blazer was a underrated character. I feel that the underrated characters would be more Punch Up and Malevola and Golem. I feel they could have done a lot better, especially Golem and Visigal's dynamic. I would have liked them to present that more. Like I feel the game was like maybe 5 hours longer. It would have been a lot better. Of course, that could fall into choices you make and stuff, which I don't think so. I don't think that's a choice thing. I think the biggest choices were between Invisigal, Blonde Blazer, and that's really about it. Oh yeah, the main villains. I completely forgot the main villains existed until like, unless I mentioned Red Ring, I completely forgot that happened. I was like using a part of the game where it was a Shroud. I can't remember until like one of those characters said, oh yeah, they killed Robert's dad. Completely forgot about that. And I will say, like, there's a lot of unimportant choices like that. Like, for example, dropping or picking back up Toxic, what you say to the Z team. I felt a lot of those choices were unimportant. Of course, not all of them. It's not exactly a bad thing. I did like it. They were inspirational quotes and stuff. But I also like the part where Invisigal and Rob are arguing who zips up Thumbstick's zipper. I found that kind of funny. That's pretty funny in my opinion. But there's all times where I just felt like, does it really matter what choice I make? Just pick one. There's a lot of immature storytelling. Blonde Blazer's nipple slip scene. I was just more like, is this really important to the plot? It wasn't. It was just fan service. That's all that was really. I didn't really care about it, but it's like one of those things. If I'm gonna make a final thoughts, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna really get too deep into on Invisigal's sex scene, wet dream thing. It was more like, okay, I guess, whatever. Like there's like I guess other than like that, like that's more just in its off own. Like that's like if you like that stuff, you like that stuff. If you don't really care about it, kind of thing. I will say there's lots of swearing, and especially in parts where it didn't really make sense. Like a lot, like when you're dealing with a bunch of villains like hoodlums. Like sure, I'm gonna expect some swearing. So a bunch of gang members, sure, like, there's lots of swearing there. But there's a lot of times when the swearing just felt, when I was back in high school, before the teacher walked in the class, all the kids would be swearing and talking really loudly. And then when the teacher walked in, it would quiet down and the swearing would kind of stop. And it felt more like high school to me. Very immature high school. That's one thing I was like, whatever. Cool. Because I picked Sonar. This might be a similar situation where, like, I'm going to say Coop and Sonar. I don't know if there's any choices that actually mattered that would make Sonar or Coop make it sense for Robert to forgive them for attacking HQ. Because during the entire cutscene, like, the only reason I chose to forgive Coop was mainly because, whatever, it's the end of the game. None of my decisions matter at this point. So, sure. Welcome back to Z Team. Congratulations. But overall, there's never a point where I would say that Sonar or Coop, whichever one you choose, ever actually does anything that would make sense logically or even emotionally. They deserve a second chance. If I was just being myself, automatically, nope, straight to the slammer. Do your time, when you come back out, then you come back on the Z Team kind of thing. But I was like, it's in the game, let's just say, congratulations, friendo. Let's talk about the gameplay mechanics. Honestly, I like the gameplay mechanics a bit. Like, to me, I feel all Telltale games and visual novels aren't really games. They're just interactable YouTube videos. They're not really a video game. A video game to me is like something like Skyrim, Oblivion, WoW, any shooter pretty much. Anything where you actually either use this, my keyboard, or this to move around, explore, interact with things, or whatnot. Even phone games I view more as video games than Telltale games. And the reason I played this was mainly because it looked fun and it was popular. I was like, figured, you know what, let's give it a try. I need to get back into recording and stuff. I get back to used to doing it, which maybe Dispatch was not the best game to start on that. Maybe I could have started off with Danganronpa, which is like I said, very similar. It's a visual novel. It's not really a game. It's an interactable video, at best. The only reason I did do Danganronpa is because I really did not want to do a bunch of voice acting for. I was like, this does not do that. Let's do Dispatch. It's newer. It's everybody wants to watch right now, kind of thing. Let's give it a try. Get back into use of recording and commenting, which really did help. When I was editing and stuff, I did find a lot of times where I could actually improve my videos. So Dispatch did do quite a bit for me there. Going back to the gaming part, this dispatching of heroes to certain jobs, that was fun. I like the whole organizing. And if you didn't organize it properly, of course, you either missed calls or you failed calls. I found that pretty fun. Those little grid puzzles where you go around and you go unlock stuff, they're like electricity things. I found those really boring to play and even more boring to watch. When I was editing them, that I just cut those parts out. I did not really care to watch them at all. It's like, unless the character said something, I didn't really care. Like some of them were a bit entertaining to do, but for the most part, I really did not care. It was like the ones where you had a short amount of time to get it all done. That was cool. I like the QuickTime events. The QuickTime events were really fun, and the cutscenes were really cool. Like the final battle against Shroud is a very cool cutscene. Watching all the heroes, even Prism, small spoilers. Prism used her powers to make body double a Blonde Blazer to distract Shroud. I found that pretty cool. I was like, that's dope as hell. Yeah, the QuickTime events were probably my favorite part of the entire game. But overall, the gameplay was not that difficult. It was more just an organization thing. But I kind of been autopiloted throughout the entire game, where I was like, okay, square goes in the square hole. Let's just boop 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 boop. The only part I really hated when it came to the gameplay was there was stat caps. So, for example, you would have like a job and you couldn't go above a certain stat or you automatically fail the job. But the main problem is that the stat that the cap was on, if you didn't have that stat, you would like had a very low chance of succeeding anyway. So it's like a okay, like really, the stat cap is there really just to make you're just pretty much all luck if you pass it or not. I didn't like that at all. I found that was completely stupid. I hated that part. Dumbest mechanic I've ever seen in a game. But overall, gameplay was alright. Nothing I would write home about, and nothing I would really actually not talking about really write home about. This is a game I should have been thinking after I finished it, but there's not one point after I finished the game, I wasn't playing the game, I really thought about the game outside of the game. And I think that's one of the things where it comes to the pacing. The pacing was kind of too short for me to care about the characters on a grander scale. They weren't bad. I liked all the characters. There wasn't a character I disliked at all. Even Chase. I liked Chase, even though I felt that he was kind of two-dimensional and he needed a lot more screen time to actually feel important. Much along the lines with a lot of the other heroes. Like I said, Flambe, Invisigal, Royd, Blonde and I even Prism needed a lot more screen time as well. Those characters got the most amount of screen time, and I learned most about those characters. And then after that, I guess Prism and Phenomenon we got the most screen time with. Okay, I kind of see the gimmick, and the rest of the characters were just more caricatures rather than actual characters. I feel the game needed to be like another 9 hours longer. The game felt very quick and very fast. Like I said, a lot of things happened so quickly. I was more like, oh wow. And the only time I really was surprised was like shock value, like when Shroud domes that guy at the bar, or Invisigal stabs Shroud in the neck. I think those are the two parts I was like, whoa, holy shit, kind of thing. But most of the time I was kind of autopilot throughout most of the game. Of course, I had to kind of consciously make myself think about what was happening in the game. I feel that like fluff and downtime could make things more impactful. Like for example, Chase's sacrifice. Like I understand why he did it. I understand everything that built up to it. It just felt kind of fast and shallow. A little bit more meat on those bones would have been a lot better. And I feel that's not too much to ask for, especially for a game that has absolutely no real gameplay to it. It's just one big cutscene. Asking for the cutscene to be longer doesn't feel like I'm asking for too much. I guess like there's animation that costs to consider and voice acting costs. There's those kinds of costs, but it's not like say like Fallout where you're exploring buildings and you're clearing out rooms of enemies and you got the aim shot, like the college shot thing. You go with the headshot, body shot, arm shot, leg shot, kind of thing, like one of those things. It's like the most important gameplay was clicking on the mouse and dragging across the screen, clicking. It's like Osu. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about? Like an Osu type game. Which, like I said, I like the quick time events. That was fun. That was the most fun I had throughout the entire game. And that's about it, though. The story, though, like I said, well-written story. Just needed more meat. That's really all I needed. It was just the only complaint I could really say were get rid of the stat cap, hated that, stupid mechanic, and more meat. It needed a lot more meat for me to rate it highly. So if I'm going to rate this game, final thoughts over. I like the game, I like the characters, like the story, needs more meat. Probably just not my type of game overall, just a visual novel to me. I can enjoy visual novels. I've played them before on the channel, but I have a lot more fun playing games like Genshin Impact. And I feel Genshin Impact combat gets very boring very quickly. I would definitely recommend this game to my friends or family, people, like hey, here's a game that I felt was good. I even say, as I was saying, I think like puzzle games like, because Dispatch is also a puzzle game. I'm not saying puzzle games are bad. Like, I like Children of Silent Town. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played. Again, simple story, simple characters. But I felt the pacing in a game like that was a lot better, where I actually cared about all the characters I met and all the things that happened in the story, because there was enough time in between major events where I got to learn about the world. Whereas in Dispatch, the world building and character development was very, very short in between major events. There's the introduction. It was a very good introduction. I liked the introduction. It's very fun. It got me to learn about Robert and stuff and the main villain. And then there's kicking out Sonar and Coop. And then there's the whole Invisigal thing. And then the Shroud. It felt very quick. Like I said, pacing was not the best. Overall, I'd rate this game, I say 7 out of 10. Overall, I would probably be convinced to go up to 8 out of 10 after I do a few more choices and stuff and learn more about the game and stuff. But as of right now, before I do all the like extra stuff, it'd be 7 out of 10. That's maybe because the pacing and the world building could have been a lot better. But overall, and it's a lot of unimportant characters. Kind of felt like overall, like I said, enjoy the game and all that. Of course, if you guys disagree with me or agree with me, feel free to go down in the comments below. Talk about what, explain why you disagree or why you agree with me. If you want to spoil something about like one of the choices I didn't make, feel free to go ahead. I don't really care about spoilers. I never really have. It's just, especially considering the fact I've probably already, like, at this point, I've played the game. I know what happens at the end. Let's just go ahead. Tell me the spoilers. And you guys can tell me about, like, where maybe I'm wrong in some areas. Because, like I said, I haven't really played all the game. Granted, I don't really feel like, if I was doing this off camera, I wouldn't really feel like going back to the game. I played once and be done with it. And in fact, maybe I wouldn't even finish the entire game. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. It really depends on how I felt that day. Or at least I would have taken a lot longer. Like, probably taken a full, like, maybe I'd play like once every couple of months kind of thing. I'd probably get the game to go like done in like an hour and a half. I'm not sure. It really depends how long cutscenes are and all that. Thank you all for watching. If you agree with me, feel free to go down in the comments below. If you disagree with me, feel free to go down in the comments below and explain why. But yeah, that's my final thoughts on the game. Overall, I recommend it to people. If you want to play it, I suggest go playing it. It's a fun game. But yeah, everything for watching. Have a good day.